In episode 31, I talked about the abysmal Season 2 and how unappealing it was. Now I'm going to be talking about the last 3 seasons, but before that, shouldn't you explain a few things about the other 5 seasons? You're right, I should. We'll start with Season 3, which is the longest season in this series, and I'd like to say, how the hell did they complete a lot of episodes within a year? I don't know. Anyway, this season featured a lot of new characters like Casey Jones, the Rat King, Leatherhead, Usagi Yojimbo, Metalhead, Zack the Fifth Turtle, Lotus Blossom, Mr. Og, and more. Plus returning characters like the Punk Frogs, the Neutrinos, and yes, Baxter the Fly. However, the animation changes considerably throughout each episode. How can you not forget? Plus, the voice acting can be pretty bad in later episodes of the 3rd season. Like in the episode Green with Jealousy, Krang's voice sounded terrible. He doesn't sound nothing like Pat Fraley's voice of Krang, doesn't he? Ninja Sword of Nowhere, where Raphael's voice in that episode sounded horrible. Of course, you know what that episode is. Shredder has this new sword that can open a dimension known as the Void.
There's nothing, a void, emptiness, like the inside of your skulls.
There were some episodes with Donatello and Bebop's voices sounded horribly as well, plus some episodes where Shredder's voice sounded different.
What's keeping those blasted turtles?
I guess they were used for backup voice actors, just in case. I do have to say, Season 3 was rather boring and repetitive, meaning that Shredder and Krang are after some kind of energy to power up the Technodrome, also pestering the Turtles, which is pretty tiresome. There was an episode where the Rat King and Leatherhead team up, also beating the crap out of each other. Also an episode where Krang and Shredder built robot versions of Bebop and Rocksteady, making them more competent. It was a stupid but annoying episode. Stomp Titles! Stomp Titles! Stomp Titles! I do remember an episode where Shredder opens a pizza restaurant called Weird Pizza in the episode Pizza by the Shred. I do find this episode rather funny yet stupid. I also remember yet another episode where Splinter learns this fighting maneuver known to the Foot Clan called the Curly Maneuver.
The Curly Maneuver? I can't move.
I can't help but to say how laughably stupid that was. Then we got the 3-part finale involving Shredder and Krang powering up the Technodrome, finally, heading up back to the surface and causing destruction, also bringing Earth to Dimension X.
This miserable planet will be ours.
Next, Season 4, which is the 2nd longest season. This is where the show got really bad and I lost interest to it. Shredder, Krang, Bebop, and Rocksteady come back as well with the Rat King, Leatherhead, Lotus Blossom, Usagi Yojimbo, General Trag, and Baxter the Fly. Also, new characters were introduced in this season like Big Louie, for example. Also, have you noticed something different about Michelangelo? Yes, his nunchucks got replaced with a grappling hook. Why, you ask? Because of censorship in Europe, because they think the word ninja is violent. So, they decided to call it Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. There was also a segment called Turtle Tips which served as a PSA about the environment or other issues when the show began its secondary run on CBS in 1990. I also noticed 2 characters that don't look nothing like their action figures, Slash and Ray Fillet. Here's what their figures look like, and this is what they look like in the animated series. As you can see, folks, they do not look anything like their figures. Take a look at Slash. He's supposed to be awesome and badass looking, but instead he looks retarded, stupid, and just lame. At least in the Ninja Turtle video games he was badass, a lot more menacing and threatening. And as for Ray Fillet, he doesn't look absolutely nothing like his action figure. He appears to look like a manta ray lizard hybrid, and he's green when he's supposed to be blue. God, and I thought the character designs on Captain N were pretty bad. But at least he looks like his figure in the Archie comics and the Genesis version of Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. However, I did not catch the rest of Season 4. I stopped watching this show, and yes, I did see the episode where Raphael meets Mona Lisa in Raphael Meets His Match, which was her only appearance, and her voice was done by Renee Jacobs, who also did Lotus Blossom and Tempestra as well. And I know what you're thinking. Why did you stop watching the show, dude? Because I lost interest, but not the franchise at least. Season 5, I somehow didn't catch all the episodes of that season. It did introduce new characters like Wingnut and Screwloose, Mondo Gecko, Muckman, Hokum Hare, etc. Also, the Punk Frogs make a comeback. There was a two-part finale called Planet of the Turtleoids, which featured Groundchuck, Dirtbag, Kerma, Chrome Dome, and the only appearance of Tattoo. It was actually a 1-hour premiere before they were aired again as two-part episodes. Season 6 never catched all the episodes in that season as well, though there were characters who came back like Slash, Kerma, along with new characters being introduced. However, most episodes never involved Shredder and Krang, which is good, by the way. A lot of kids at school back then, when I was 8 years of age, said that there was an episode where the Turtles fought Freddy Krueger in the episode Nightmare in the Lair, which I read online that this character Creepy Eddie is too similar to Krueger. Gee, no wonder why the show didn't get sued. Also, one of the kids at school talked about another episode where Irma had superpowers, dressing herself as Wonder Woman, which is her Halloween costume, in Super Irma. They also talked about 2 more episodes where Slash comes back being rather intelligent in Donatello Trash's Slash, and another one the kids talked about was Krang's android body going berserk thinking he's in a video game, and one of the kids said, "The android body finally talks," and I asked them, "What did he sound like?" They said, "He sounded like Splinter." Ironically, it was Peter Renaday who voiced Splinter in General Trag. Season 7, I did come back to watching this show again in 1993, but somehow this season had episodes where the Turtles travel in Europe, which is funny that Michelangelo won a vacation trip back in the first episode of Season 4 in 1990. These episodes were part of a side season, or maybe they're part of Season 7 themselves. Sadly, this was James Avery's last role as the Shredder, and throughout the rest of this season, he's now voiced by Townsend Coleman, who is the voice of Corporal Cape Man from Inspector Gadget.
Oh, great, Inspector Gadget! It's an honor to meet you.
Hello, this is Corporal Cape Man, assistant to the famous Inspector Gadget. We need a new voice for Shredder right away.
I think I have just the man for you, Corporal Ape Man.
Not Ape Man, Cape Man! We'll shoot him right over.
As you wish.
The last half of this season is where everything takes place around at night. It also introduced more new characters and old characters make a comeback. I do remember a few episodes, not the ones in the vacation to Europe. Let's see, there's Night of the Dark Turtle, which you probably know about this episode, where we get to see the Triceratons for the first time, which is their only appearance. They were seen in the comics, also an action figure of one of them, and yes, Donatello becomes this Batman-like character called the Dark Turtle. Dirk Savage Mutant Hunter. Let me tell you something about this episode. You will not believe who was featured in this show for the first time. That's right, 2 certain mutants that we all know from the second film, Secret of the Ooze. Tokka and Razar. I am not making this shit up. When I was 9, I was jumping and yelling with excitement when I saw them, and no, they do not act like their counterparts from the second film. Yeah, thank the freaking Ninja Turtle god. But sadly, this episode was the only appearance of the 2, plus the last appearance of the Punk Frogs and Mondo Gecko. Invasion of the Krangazoids. This is where we get to see what Krang's original body looks like. They look multicolored, but with dinosaur-like bodies, and I like to say, is this what Krang's old body looks like before he got banished? I don't know. However, this season was the last appearance of Leatherhead, Slash, Chrome Dome, Tempestra, Groundchuck, Dirtbag, the Neutrinos, Baxter Stockman the Fly, Zack the Fifth Turtle, and the only appearance of Murdude, Scumbug, and Anthrax. In the last episode, Shredder and Krang trap the Turtles in Dimension X, and they finally take over the world. Then, our heroes in the Half-Shell came back to stop them. At the end, the Technodrome gets sent back to Dimension X. Again. And yes, there was a scene where Irma defeats Krang. Well, that totally wraps up the other 5 seasons of the 1987 TMNT animated series, but don't go back inside your shells. Stay tuned as I talk about the last 3 seasons.